Good morning. I've been with a lot of children at the moment. They've all suddenly come rushing in, and I think it's because of the response that I've been getting to something I had said yesterday in my celebrity sex scandal description box, when I was talking about how I sit with dying children, how I don't let children die alone. I've got a lot of things up on my Instagram and things up here on my YouTube where I show evidence of me sitting with children around the world who are dying. And what got me into this whole needing to expose the truth about the difference between the paranormal and the supernatural. It's all, for me, about getting people to understand death so that they can learn not to be afraid of it. Because our fears are creating paranormal activity and it's affecting Grandmother Earth. Because we're magnetic beings. And, like attracts like. We draw to us what we are. We are what we become. And we become what we allow to absorb, into our beings. Because what happens is we send all this low vibration telekinetic energy into our planet, and it's hurting her, and she's suffering and she's in pain because she's a living organism too, and she feels it. And the universe is getting angry at us, and God, or the gods, or whoever it is you believe in, the divine, the universe, spirit, toast, it doesn't matter. They're mad because we're hurting their baby. And a mother hurts when her baby's hurting. A parent hurts when their baby is hurting. And they know there's nothing they can do about it other than show emotion. And that's what I do. That's my job. I created a whole industry and a whole science based around teaching people how to heal their pain and heal their fear when it comes to death and dying and what happens before and after. Because in all the people that I've counselled in my career, I've been investigating this life since I was 12 years old, when I decided to figure out to see if God was real. And it all kind of snowballed into, paranormal study from like 16, 17, 18, right through to what it is now, which is quantum magnetics. I started my career as a psychic, became intuitive, clairvoyant. I had a little stint on a radio show in Chicago. I loved every minute of it. I just would have done things a little differently, but, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. It taught me how to learn to speak in front of the public. And I had a blog, Spirit and the Paranormal, that taught me so much, and I got to meet so many wonderful people, and I got to help and counsel so many people, a lot of which is still in my life. There's still people who reach out. There's still people I talk to this day. The level of trust that you get to have with people in this industry is immense. You become like their God. Every word that comes out of your mouth either makes or breaks their heart. It either heals them or hurts them. So I take what I say very seriously. It's one of the reasons why I took etiquette lessons. It's one of the reasons why I started, this YouTube channel while the pandemic was on, because I knew that the world was going to start needing my help, because I had been told long ago that this was coming and that people were going to die and people were going to be afraid. And so I kind of thought, if there's anything I can do to help alleviate that pain, knowing there's nothing I can do about it, I'm going to do whatever I can. And the hardest thing for me to deal with, being the kind of woman that I am, is when I have to help people handle the grief of losing a child. And so I finished my teacher's study. Pauline Wardell Braddon was my teacher. She was about 2'1". I'm 6 foot, like 6'4" in heels. She was Australian, and she was like the Tasmanian devil. She was a Pisces, so a piranha. She was barking mad, and I loved every minute of her. And she opened my world right up. And she told me a story about how when she was in America, she got to know 2 scientists who were working on something called the God phone, or the telephone to God, or something like that. And one of them was dying. And they had made a deal and said, if this works, if this is true, if there really is life on the other side of death, I'm going to get message to you, like, I'll contact you through the God phone. And I think it was, the way she was talking, I think it was an actual machine, like an actual technological machine thing. Maybe it came like it's supposed to come across like on a radio, or, like, when they tune into the radios and stuff, spirit boxes and all that. I don't know if it stems from all of that or what, but I can't work technology, so I just made my vessel the phone. So I use myself. I'm the telephone line. And I'm letting people know that he's saying, yes, there is life after death. And we've proven it. And that's what quantum magnetics is. Manipulating time to manifest reality. And in order to manipulate time, you have to learn how to manipulate atoms. Because consciousness is contained inside every atom. And you have to learn how to direct the atoms in the right direction to make the right choices to get the outcome that you want. And when I get a call from children, whether they're already on the other side, whether they died 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago, yesterday, or they're dying now, or they won't die for 10 years, it doesn't matter. When they call me, I'm there. And I'm there when they're sad, and I'm there when they're grieving, and I'm there when they're scared. because, like, in real life, I can't be there to hold them and take it away for them. I can't take away what it is that is hurting the spirit of a child. But I can take away what's hurting their mind, because that's where I sit, in the conscious or the subconscious mind. You know, it's like wherever the core needs to be connected, that's where I sit. And people need to know that I have never seen a child afraid to die. Of all the people I have sat with and helped and counselled and asked questions to and learned from, children are the only ones that aren't afraid. A lot of them are actually more curious than anything. Even in the split second before their life is taken, there's always this look of curiosity. And I'm here to say that it's because of the fact that the people who live the hardest life, the children who live the shortest life, are the wisest souls. Because nobody else would choose to come down and live a life like that if it wasn't because there were lessons waiting for them on the other side. And the wisest soul is a learning soul. So I started to realise a long time ago that the paranormal industry was hurting people. It was perpetuating a myth that was wrong, that was causing a lot of people to suffer unnecessarily, when all they had to do was understand they just need to switch their frequency to a different connection of time. And then they'd realise the connection was never lost, it was just dropped. It's no different to making a Skype call where it cuts you off every now and then, or it goes mute, or it goes fuzzy, or, blocks and pauses. That's exactly what time does. But when you're on the right bandwave, when you're on that right Wi-Fi frequency, you have a perfect connection. So I'm trying to teach people how to have a perfect connection. That's why I call myself a medium and not a medium. Because a medium bounces between, and the medium is the go-between. They go to you, they go to them, they go to you, they go to them, like a trampoline. Whereas I call myself a median. I bridge the gap so that you can walk over and make the connection yourself. Because when you can talk to your loved ones who have crossed over yourself, then you don't need people like me and psychics and mediums and clairvoyants and stuff. And then you can save your money. And then you can start to heal the planet. Now, I need to make myself very clear on this, because I am from a family of very, very gifted, highly intuitive, highly clairvoyant, highly in tune people in my family. Our gifts, my family, our gifts go back centuries, well documented. So I am in no way knocking people who call themselves mediums and psychics and intuitives and clairvoyants. And if you are genuine, you'll know exactly what I mean when I say I am not talking about the genuine ones. The ones who don't charge $1,200 an hour. The ones who will give up their time for free even if they've got mouths to feed and bills to pay, and every month they're pushing those bills to the limit, but every month their faith always gets them through. I am not talking about people like that, because they're my brothers and sisters. They're my soldiers out in the trenches, doing whatever they can to do right by their faith, by their gift, by their ancestry, and by the people. I am not talking about people like that. I'm talking about the ones who use it to become famous, or who abuse it when they do. I'm talking about the ones who aren't famous but charge prices like they are. I'm talking about the ones who will do anything and everything by any means necessary to take their competitors down. I am talking about the ones who will go out of their way to destroy people's careers because they're jealous. I'm talking about the ones who cold read. I'm talking about the ones who look up information before they go into a job. I'm talking about the ones who fake activity to make shows. I'm talking about the ones who lie about activity to make shows and make money. These are the people I'm talking about. Because all the genuine people come to me telling me they're learning from what it is that I am teaching them. And slowly and surely people are starting to realise my gift is real. But I had to do that to become God's telephone. And I recently made my connection with God a couple of weeks ago on my YouTube. He's been stalking me. I think he's a little obsessed, to be honest. Because when I was 12 and I started trying to see if God was real, because I had asked a priest a question at my niece and nephew's christening, and his response was to slap me in the face and tell my mother that I was never to be brought back into that church again. And my mother thanked the priest. She took me by the hand. She took me outside and she gave me a hug, and she said to me, "Debbie Lee, don't you ever stop asking questions." And so I've been asking questions ever since. And the answer, after years of not answering his calls and deleting his voice messages in my brain, we made the connection. And ever since I made that connection, he was like the final piece to my God puzzle. Because there isn't just one God, there are many. God is whoever you need them to be when your faith needs them the most. You know, there are many wires down a telephone line. And religion was created for us to, like a smorgasbord, we're supposed to take a little bit of each. Take all the bits that make us the best possible person that we can be, so that we can become our own telephone lines. You know, why pay someone else to help you make your phone calls to people all around the world when you can just be the phone and make the call yourself, you know? And then I don't have to watch parents suffer. And the light on my phone's just died. My camera's just the light the light just went off. That's confirmation. It's never done that before. My camera light's just gone off. I'm going to take that as confirmation, eh, big guy? It's Big G. Oh, he's such a drama queen. He's got to have all the attention. He's like Liza Minnelli. Like on Broadway, I'm here. Oh, he comes in with jazz hands. So, you know, I'm trying to do my bit. I'm trying to heal grandmother. The science that I have taught myself, I can go to places where, you know, people have stood and cried and suffered the worst possible torment known to mankind: famine, war, disease, natural disasters, you know, pandemics, murders, suicides, accidents, all of it, disease, freak accidents. I've seen it all. I've sat through it all. I watch it all. Because once I figured out how biomagnetics worked, all I had to do was manipulate some atoms inside the consciousness of time and create myself an instant telephone line. And I get to make that call, and, you know, like when I do see them suffering, like I went to a castle a few weeks ago, Richmond Castle, where I met a man who was a victim of famine from, I can't remember, I found out later on it was from like the 11th century. It was like 1069 or 10 something, and then they were also hit by another famine in 1315 or something. But when I connected with him, I made sure when I left he was crossed over. You know, like I smoothed out his frequency, because I was able to show him what his sacrifice was going to do for the betterment of mankind. And it brought him peace when he saw that his suffering ended up saving his country, brought liberation to his country and to countries like Scotland. You know, when I help people see death and consciousness in our time and our connection to time, they feel it differently. When a parent finds out that their child thinks about them in their final moments, and that connection that they make to you is them creating a telephone line. It's just, you have to pick up on the other side. And when I am able to explain this to parents and show them how they do it, it takes their pain away. Their heart hurts a little less and makes for a clear connection. And the same is said for children who have to witness death, or for children who are dying. I show them how to make a clear connection, because all they want to do is get a message across. The first thing the children want to do is explain everything that's going on. Because the wisest souls are the learning souls. And they've been teaching me. every parent who has ever lost a child, and every child who has ever had to absorb pain, have used what they've experienced to teach me everything that I am sitting here telling you all now. Because children are God. What is God if he is not the purest and innocent of the universe? Because to me, God means to create. And when you create a phone line between one soul and another, you are a God. When your heart and everything you do and putting into what you do involves nothing but your heart, you are creating God. Because God is also light and God is also truth. And I don't just mean Christian God, I'm talking about the universal God. It takes all gods to make a God. It takes all colours to make a rainbow. It's whatever you need, whatever frequency, whatever colour you need to connect to at the time, to give your frequency and your connection to it the best possible line of communication. Or give you the best possible emotional outcome, or the best possible balance between consciousness and reality, or subconsciousness and consciousness, left brain, right brain, happiness, sadness, pain, feel, take and I need parents to know that death is just a glitch in the matrix. So is reality. There's two frequencies to everything. There's two frequencies to reality. And you choose which reality you want to live in. Do you want to live in fear and thinking that your child, has died alone in pain and in suffering? And because a lot of parents worry that their children are lonely in their graves, or that they might still be alive, or that they're crying for them, and they put themselves in that psychological torment that lives in the subconscious part of the brain, and it becomes their own worst hell, their own worst fear, and then they seek out people for answers and guidance, and there are a lot of them out there who don't care if what they're telling you is wrong, as long as it looks good for them, that you appear to be a little bit relieved and a little bit happy, as long as it looks good for them that they are putting money in the bank. They won't care. And I can't have that. Because it is my job as a high priestess and a gatekeeper to protect and defend the pure and innocent. And there is none more pure and innocent on this earth than that of children. Nobody fears death. I have never met anyone who fears death. I have only met people who have feared the way they've died. So if if someone looks like they were afraid when they died, they physically will. That's how they will feel. But I am here to tell you that their soul does not fear the death itself. They just might not like how they die. It might not be how they, but they don't fear the death itself. Once their life is taken, they are in utter peace. They understand the lesson. They understand why they were there. They get it immediately. So for them, their cycle is complete. They learned they were there to do what they had to do. The job was done, and then they move on to the next one. Because the light at the end of every tunnel of anyone who has ever died gets to the other side and realizes that it was the light of their new creation. Because from the second your life goes, you're travelling down that tunnel to the light of creation. Your rebirth. You become reborn into a whole new life. I sit with a lot of people in their death and watch, their rebirths, their reincarnations. It's fascinating. I love to look into people's past lives. When I do palm readings, I always see the lines on the wrist there. I'm always able to read people's past lives by the lines on their wrist. It absolutely fascinates me. So, the second your brain registers that someone has died, they have already been conceived, and depending on how fast your time is travelling, they may be even have been reborn. And because they died young, or because they died with pure and innocent souls, I guarantee you, I 100% guarantee you, unless they're like archangel kind of status, sort of like the boffins of the souls, every single one of them gets born into a new life that is the best it'll be their last life and it will be their best life. And then they get to choose whether they want to come back and do it all again. Some of them don't. Some of them want to come back as cats or bunny rabbits or, like just a big fat black cat, or they choose to just become atoms in the universe and help expand it. Because the more light there is in the universe, the faster it travels. And the highest frequencies in our universe is love, laughter, and music. So, when I build the Dragonarium and North Star Studios and the Alchemist Cavern, I'm going to make sure that I take care of all three. And if I can get as many children seeing the light, being in the light, feeling the light, or creating it, if I can be involved in any of that, if there's anything I can do to bring that out in any of them, then that's what I'm going to do. Because the more light there is, the faster time travels. And then it means that they will always have that connection to you. It's like the second they dial the number and the second you pick up on the other side, all depends on how fast the light travels to make the connection between the two. And that goes for, parents who are dying in front of their children. Wherever there's love, grandparents, siblings, it doesn't matter. Wherever there's love. But it's important that parents hear it first. So, I want to travel the world, and I want to go to places where tears or blood have hit the soil and relieve grandmother of it, because she's taking too much on now. She's starting to roll over so that she can shield herself from the pain. So I just don't, if I could say anything to anyone, don't go against anything you know is wrong. Always use logic over a negative emotion. Negative emotions are things like fear, paranoia, anxiety. Always use logic first. That's the light side of the psychological mind. That's the good side of the subconscious. Logic, doubt, and reason. Always use them first. Never give in to fear, anxiety, or paranoia, or any of those negative emotions, because that's what decides the balance, that's what tips the balance and decides whether your frequency becomes lighter or heavier. One raises your frequency and one lowers it. And you will not have connections to your children or your loved ones that you have crossed over to the other side if you are sitting in a low frequency. It's a low bandwidth. That's what creates the static in the Skype call. That's what creates the calls to be disconnected. So I'm trying to show people how to raise their vibration so that their Wi-Fi connection to their loved one sitting on the Skype call on the other side is a crystal clear connection. Because then it lightens the burden that Grandmother Earth is having to bear, and it alleviates her pain as well. And that is because, as an Indigenous woman, it is my birthright and my responsibility to take care of my grandmother. Because I know that with her help and the help of all of those taking care of her in the universe who are watching over her right now, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here without any of them. And Indigenous people take care of their elderly. And we respect our heritage and we tell stories of our culture to keep the connection alive. So we never drop the call. And that's what I've built my empire to do. As a single mum, as a single woman, as someone who built an empire from scratch with the bricks that people threw at my head. It didn't make me dumb. It didn't stop me or shut me down. It built my armour. They turned me into a warrior. It created in me my new bloodline. It helped me start learning how to save the world and save my grandmother. So close your eyes right now, Mum, Dad, Nana, Granddad, sister, brother, whoever you are. I want you to just take a deep breath and let it out really slow. Close your eyes and remember the child. Close your eyes and remember the person your heart has broken for right now, and see them looking at you with their best smile on their face. Remember the happiest moment you had with them. It's a moment you will never forget because it left a snapshot in time. It took a photo in your memory and in theirs. So close your eyes and remember that right now, and feel how good it feels in your heart to have that connection. That's you just picked up the phone line to your child on the other side. That's you just made that call. And look how light it just made your heart, and I bet most of you smiled. Because that's them showing you, I never went anywhere. I was just waiting for you to pick up the phone on the other side. So, if anything I can do or say helps alleviate the pain in your heart and lighten the load in your mind, then my sacrifice was absolutely worth it. And I have got my little team. I'm building my little team. And wherever possible, we will be going wherever we need to alleviate the pain that grandmother is bearing as a consequence for our humanity's negative actions. And we are lightening the load to make life easier for everyone to bear, so that they can raise their vibration and never lose that connection to the light again. So I want you all to have a beautiful weekend, and every time your heart hurts and you're missing your child or your loved one on the other side, just remember, close your eyes and remember your happiest moment with them, and that's you made that call. They're right there. And they always, always see you in your dreams, even if you don't remember your dreams, even if you don't think you have them. I guarantee you, the second you close your eyes, you're in consciousness, and that's where they always sit, with me. So, have a beautiful weekend, and I love you all, and I guarantee you, they love you too, because they've done all of this for you. That's how loved you are. Mwah.